I choose peace. When my world falls down, I will rise. When my world falls down, I will rise. When my world falls down, explanations can't be found. I will climb to holy ground. I will rise. I will rise. In the midst of pain, I choose love. In the midst of pain, I choose love. In the midst of pain, sorrow falling down like rain, I await the sun again. I choose love. I choose love.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Concord's multi-platform worship service. My name is Sue Roman. My pronouns are she and her, and I am your worship associate today. Thank you for joining us this morning for our service titled On Brokenness and Grace. We are an inclusive church where we support each other on our own and our shared spiritual journeys. We celebrate diversity of lifestyles and religious beliefs. We embrace the beauty within each of us, yet acknowledge the imperfections that make us human. In other words, you are all welcome. And I am glad that we can be together, both online and in person. I am especially happy to welcome first-time and returning visitors. If you are a visitor, we hope you will find us a community eager to welcome you and respectful of the path that has brought you here this morning. For information about our church, take a look at the Pew folder or check out the Visitors Corner outside the church office. Also, anyone wearing a colorful lei is ready to welcome you and answer any questions you may have. For our online visitors, it would be wonderful if you introduced yourself on the chat so we know you are with us. Our church buildings are located on traditional homelands of the Pennacook Abenaki people, past and present. We acknowledge and honor with gratitude the land and the people who have stewarded it for generations. For a complete listing of church events and news, please click the link at the bottom of any of our web pages to request our weekly e-bulletin and a copy of Parish Notes, our monthly newsletter. You can also find us on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. For links to resources referenced today, use the QR code on your order of service or click the button below the live stream window. And now Renee has some announcements.
Following this service, there will be a social time in the courtyard. After, time for all ages, children 5 through 13. Children 5 through 13 are invited to join Dory in the Armenia White Room to explore different religions and cultures while making and tasting smoothie flavors from around the world. On Saturday, July 26th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., there is a ponding field trip to the New Hampshire Audubon McLean Center. UU children and families will be guided by a professional naturalist on an exploration of our local wetlands. Please register online or contact Dory by Wednesday. A huge thank you to our amazing grounds crew. They have been working diligently to make the grounds so beautiful. Help is always welcome on the second Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. and the fourth Sundays after the service. On Saturday, August 2nd, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., you are invited to attend the free family-friendly Pollinator Festival at Rollins Park, Monarch Way Station, Pollinator Garden, a celebration of native plants and native pollinators. At 11:30 a.m., a monarch butterfly bench will be dedicated to the memory of Natalie Duncan. See this week's e-bulletin or contact Laurel Horn for more information. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our Song of Welcome, number 142 on our gray hymnal, Let There Be Light. The lyrics will be on your screen.
Let there be light, let there be understanding, let all the nations gather, let them be face to face. Open our lips, open our hearts to ponder, open the door of Concord, opening into grace. Perish the sword, perish the angry judgment, perish the bombs and hunger, perish the fight to gain. Let there be light, open our hearts to wonder, perish the way of terror, hallow the word God made.
Please remain standing as join me in the words of our covenant found on the screen. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call. Let this be our covenant. Dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life journey, come, let us worship together. Please be seated. Each week, we light our chalice to set this time apart and to mark it as sacred. If you are at home and you have a candle or chalice ready, I invite you to light it now as Riley lights our chalice in the sanctuary. joy. Although the beautiful struggle we're in can be very complicated, love itself is simple and is ours.
Alone and shining there. Love will not elude you. Love is simple. Flawless light in a dark. I worship this alone and shining. Beautiful struggle we're in. Love will not elude you. Love is simple. I worship this tenacity, the beautiful struggle we're in. Love is a philosophy. Love is simple. I am calm in oblivion, calm as I ever have. Sure to know that all in love, love will not elude me. Love is simple. That love is a philosophy. Be sure to know that all in love is all. I am calm in oblivion, calm as I ever have been. Love will not elude me. Love is simple. And love is a philosophy. Know that all in love is that love is a philosophy. It's simple. And
Please repeat after me. It is a blessing to be. It is a blessing to be here. It is a blessing to be here now. It is a blessing to be here now together.
There is a Japanese art form called kintsugi, translated as golden joinery or golden repair. In it, broken pottery, you can see pictures there, broken pottery mended in the areas of breakage with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. More than just a simple repair, it is a philosophy treating breakage and repair as part of the beauty and history of an object, rather than something to disguise or dispose of. In ancient books, tears in the parchment were repaired by careful embroidery so that the knowledge they contained could be gained by countless others over millennia. These items, pottery and books, are of value in any state, but those that have been carefully mended are infinitely more precious, having been imbued with the skill, care, and creativity of those that value them. We too are broken as individuals, and that brokenness is revealed in our relationships and communities. The work of mending that which is broken within ourselves and with others is holy work. Through this work, we are given an opportunity to experience the humility and courage of observing and mending our own brokenness. The joinery in golden joinery more than repairs what's broken. It allows us to tap into our deepest, most spiritual power and create something entirely new and with its own unique beauty. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing hymn number 318 in our gray hymnals, We Would Be One.
We would be one as now we join in singing a hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
I would like to invite all the young and young at heart to come forward for our time for all ages. Okay. Well, good. This is wonderful. This is wonderful. I'm so happy to see you all and have you meet Bimbo. Bimbo is my teddy bear. I've had him since I was a baby, and I love Bimbo. And Bimbo has been loved on so much over the years that he's been cried on and spit up on and chewed on And he's lost his nose somewhere along the way, and he had to have his eyes replaced. As you can see, his fur is almost always gone, all gone over his body. And he's been faded by the sun. He's been through a lot, this little guy. When I was 8, his belly the threads on his belly were his throat so threadbare that his stuffing was coming out. And I asked my Mima, which is what you call your grandma if you're from parts of the South, to fix his belly. Well, instead of just ironing on a patch, she went ahead and made him this little vest, complete with a necktie and 2 tiny pockets. Said, do you want to pass them around? So Bimbo was always precious to me because I've had him since I was aware of anything at all. But he became even more precious to me because of the care my Mima showed him in mending his belly. So I'm going to ask you guys, have you ever had a toy or maybe a piece of clothing that got torn or broken, and someone else fixed it for you, and then that made it even more precious to you because they fixed it for you? Susan, you had an incident.
I had a wonderful toy named Rabbi. Rabbi was he's a wonderful guy. And he was rather, he had a lot of tears on him, and he had some, whatever I ate, I spilled on him. And but I loved him terribly, wonderfully. And he got lost in a move, but I can still picture him. He remains important to me. He symbolized a lot of love in my childhood.
I have a little bit of a different story. I'm excited to tell you guys. So I have these 2 pairs of sandals, and on each one of them, they broke. One of them broke, the little toe came off. I've been holding on to them for 2 years because I'm gonna fix them. I know I will, I'm gonna fix them, but I haven't fixed them yet. But when I was going to look for these sandals to come and tell you this story, because Renee and I had talked about it, I discovered that it's the opposite foot that's broken. And so now I have a pair of sandals. And for 2 years, I thought that they were broken. And I thought there was nothing I could do, and I thought that it was the end. And I don't know that I was too broken up about it, but I was concerned enough to keep them. But when I was brave enough to face it and try and at least address the problem, I discovered a new solution. And I think they're beautiful, even if they're mismatched.
Does any one of you, can any of you remember something that's kind of like that, like a toy got broken or torn, or maybe your favorite shirt, and then somebody fixed it for you? Oh, can you pass that along?
I had a stuffy that was named Bok Bok, and he was a chicken, and I had it since I was 2 years old. And he is torn up. And one of his eyes are like so deep in his fur that you can't even see them. But I have another Bok Bok because I loved him so much.
That reminds me that love, when we love really hard, sometimes it hurts.
So just like my doll, or your dolls, when they are imperfect and someone takes the time to mend them, there's something so special. My grandma, who made this for me, passed away years ago, but whenever I touch his little tummy, I'm reminded of the love she had for me. And in mending Bimbo, she made him whole so that he could continue to give love to me. And so don't worry about any little imperfections you might have, because someone is going to come around and find you just the most precious because you have your imperfections. There we are. So, all right. Let's sing us back. Using the motions that we all know. Yes, thank you, take that.
May our minds be open to new learning. May our lips bring truth into the world. May our hearts know love and our hands do the work of justice as we go our way in peace. As we go our way in peace. I can go sit down.
Now we turn to the joys and the sorrows we carry individually and as a community. Will you take a breath with me? As we surrender to this moment, let us notice our body resting, grounded, supported by the earth. As the piano begins to play, you are invited to come forward, light a candle, or place a stone at the table to your right, or add a note to the holding our grief wheel. Today's joys and silence will offer no public sharing. now invite Judy to light one more candle on behalf of those who are not with us today or who chose to remain seated. This week, we hold in love Shelley Moffat and Sandra, our sweet neighbor. Please join me in a spirit of prayer for our musical meditation. If there are supernormal powers, it is through the cracked and fragmented self that they enter. William James. Trauma is our beautiful, dangerous assignment. Caroline Casey. I said, "What about my heart?" He said, "Tell me what you hold inside it." I said, "Pain and sorrow." He said, "Stay with it. The wound is the place where the light enters you." Rumi. For our musical interlude, Susan will invite us into healing movement as Craig plays for us.
Testing. Ooh. Yeah. A little quieter. How's that? Okay? Alrighty. So for our movement this morning, we're going to be doing something that I'm learning through my certification I'm pursuing in trauma-informed yoga. And trauma-informed yoga is very invitational. It doesn't tell you what to do. It invites you to join. It allows you to center in those feelings. So everything is very invitational, but we are going to be moving. So you're going to have to spread out so that you can have your arms extended on both sides. We are going to be seated so that anybody who needs to stay seated can participate. So just make sure that your hands can move away. Alrighty. Okay. Perfect. Alrighty. So trauma-informed yoga, as I mentioned, is all by invitation. And some of the language that's used, I incorporate when I'm leading a yoga class, when I'm teaching. Craig and I both teach here on Monday evenings. I'm putting in a plug. First and third Monday evenings, we lead yoga. We call it UU yoga. And it's here in the sanctuary and also available on Zoom. So we'd love to have you join us. And it's tomorrow night, so in the sanctuary or via Zoom. And if you do want to participate via Zoom, you'll need the link, so you'll need to communicate with one of us so we can make sure that happens for you. So anyway, the movement that we're going to be doing in trauma-informed yoga, they're learning that people who have experienced trauma, be it PTSD or other types of trauma, physical trauma, emotional abuse, anything like that, our bodies in those moments of stress exude all this cortisol. And that saves us. That keeps us in a stress mode so that we can survive. If the bear is chasing, you want to run, you want to move, you want to keep going. You're not focusing on breath, you're just focusing on getting safe. But what happens is all of that stays in the body. All that trauma and rush and cortisol stays in the body. And if we don't learn to release it, we carry it with us, and it can affect us in many ways. There's some wonderful books. One is Your Body Keeps Score. I'm sure many of you have heard about that. Another one is Your Body Speaks Your Mind by Deb Shapiro. So there's a lot of study about what the body does with this trauma. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be connecting our bodies and our breath, because so often in trauma, we're not connected. Our bodies and our minds are not connected. There's a disconnect, disassociation, so we can never process through. So by reconnecting everything, it allows us to hopefully soften and release. So the breathing that I'm going to introduce to you is called Ujjayi breath. It's also called ocean breath, or if you envision blowing into a mirror to make it steamy so you can write. So it's very much in the back of the throat, so you're going to be exhaling. All the breathing will be with your mouth closed. So you're going to be pushing in the back of the throat when you exhale, and then inhale. In time, you might be able to inhale and exhale through the back of the throat, but for the purposes today, we're just going to focus on the exhale. So that's going to sound something like this. So all try it with me. Mouth closed, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, through the back of the throat. And it sounds like we're at the ocean right now. Everybody's giving the ocean breath, so that's lovely. So now that we're aware of that breath, I invite you to get comfortable in your seat. And if you would like, and if it's comfortable for you, allow your eyes to soften. And maybe just close your eyes just for a moment as Craig introduces the music. I will be guiding you through this practice in trauma-informed. There's a lot of verbal cueing, very little silence, and I invite you to focus on your breath. Now allow the eyes to open, and allowing one arm to extend out and float away from your body overhead, effortlessly, softly. If you're taking care of shoulders, you can hold the top of your shoulder and just let the elbow rise. Floating up, inhaling, exhaling with Ujjayi breath, floating down. And again, inhaling through the nose and exhaling, closed mouth, Ujjayi breath. And a third time, inhaling and effortlessly floating down, allowing the hand to rest, and with the other arm lifting and extending, floating up over. Exhaling with Ujjayi breath. And again. And one more time. Now bringing both arms overhead to meet above, allowing the shoulders to rise, reaching, extending, Exhaling, lowering the shoulders. Arms stay up. Inhaling the shoulders. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the nose. Ujjayi breath. Inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling. Allowing the arms to float down and notice we are breathing, we are feeling, we're listening to our bodies, letting go of judgment, expectation, and allowing one arm to rise again, floating up overhead, hand on shoulder if needed, and extending over, and exhaling down. And as we're breathing, we're allowing the breath to flow, and we're pausing, but we're not stopping. So inhaling to the top of the breath, pausing, and allowing the breath to leave. Ujjayi breath down. Both arms come together, lifting up overhead, and allowing the arms to twist and turn. So slight turn, arms coming down. Inhaling, arms up, turning the head, rotating, lowering down. Inhaling, exhaling, Ujjayi breath. Inhaling, hands come to heart overhead, pulling down into heart center. One more breath, inhale, exhale. Thank you for joining us this morning and this yoga snack. Hope to see you on Mondays. Namaste.
As Ralph Waldo Emerson is credited to have said, there is a crack in everything God has made, which then to me indicates that brokenness is intentional and is a gift to us. In fact, hymn number 289 starts with the lyric, "Creative love, our thanks we give, that this our world is incomplete, that struggle greets our will to live, that work awaits our hands and feet." This speaks to the gift of having been born into a world that is not perfect and filled with people, including ourselves, who are also not perfect. The holiness is in the work of mending, in the creative, loving spirit that guides the hands that heal. It is quite a thing to see imperfection as something to cherish rather than to banish. However, being vulnerable about what is cracked allows us an opportunity to be humble, be brave, and be loving. This is true in the work we do individually, in relationships, and as a community. I'd like to offer a few notes here before I get deeper. For clarity, when I speak of brokenness, I am speaking a bit broadly and using the term in different senses. Firstly, I'm using it to refer to our own imperfections and the harm our ego can cause. I am also speaking about brokenness as a deep wound from a trauma we experienced that not only impacts how we relate to each other, but even to our own bodies and our most truest selves. This is a difficult topic to touch on, and I want to recognize that. Should this service bring something painful for you, please do what you need to do to take care of yourself. In this sermon, I will be discussing some things that are deeply personal, which is not something I usually do, and I want to speak to the discomfort we both might feel in those moments. Finally, I feel rather uncomfortable with how my presence here behind a lectern can signify some authority on the subject, or that I've mended every single broken area in myself. That is singularly untrue. There is still so much I have to learn from you, and I am grateful for that. Although rather unwelcome, I do try to appreciate the all too frequent occasions where I can be shown my own imperfections, because they are opportunities which get me closer to being the person I'd like to be. There is a story about Atisha, a renowned Buddhist teacher from Bangladesh, who was preparing to travel to Tibet, where he was going to share his knowledge with the locals. As he prepared for his journey, he was told that the Tibetan people were very good-natured and open-minded, and while that was reassuring and helped him feel hopeful about the trip, he was also concerned that his personal spiritual growth would be stunted. Because there would be no irritations, there was nothing there that allowed him to put his spiritual work into practice. One of his beliefs was that our greatest teachers are just those people we find most obnoxious and frustrating. You have somebody in mind? because they reflect back to us our own worst qualities. So Atisha chose to bring along with him a most annoying tea server. The irritating quality of his tea server was valuable, as it tore open the shell of Atisha's self so that he could recognize where his ego was getting in the way of his peace and growth. This concept of brokenness is reflective of the way Pema Chodron talks about breaking a hole in the ego, which is so often the source of our pain, to let in some light and some air. Once we see that it is our ego reacting, we can recognize where we need self-growth or self-healing. Further, we can then learn how our reactions, either directed outwards towards the other or inwards towards ourselves, can cause us and our relationships further harm. The cracks in ourselves revealed in our relationships are also precious. I have cherished, in retrospect, when a deep defect in a relationship with someone I love has come to light. In the mending, we came to know each other all the more intimately and valued each other and our relationship all the more. We all have very deep, painful beliefs that travel with us throughout our lifetimes, beliefs that speak to our trauma and negative self-perception. Mine is a fear that people perceive me as stupid and fluffy, and I can easily read an interaction in such a way that it reaffirms this deep fear. When this happens, I can get into quite a state of spiraling emotions, self-loathing, chased by resentment, followed by sorrow, and then despair. This goes on and on and on and on and on for hours, where every similar moment from my past is yanked up on stage and redissected in exquisite and excruciating detail. This exercise is exhausting, both for myself and, for my poor husband, who is contractually obligated to listen to me gripe about the exact same thing for the 487th time. He knows it's true. The book, Start Where You Are by Pema Chodron, has been such a gift because I'm able to see that my thoughts are just a temporary passing thing, perhaps speaking to my deeper wounds, yes, but just as likely some synapses misfiring. However, and most important, These reactions are evidence of my brokenness, helping to spotlight where I need to do some healing work. Not too long ago, someone made an innocent comment that touched on this deep fear of my being perceived as vapid. But because I had read her book and done some work, I was able to choose a different reaction. I realized that I could release the emotion in a moment instead of spending hours locked in my own head. This grace I offered myself and the recognition of my brokenness also extended to my relationship with this individual. Even if unspoken, if I gave legitimacy to my initial reaction, it could cause me to want to distance myself from that person and our friendship. The work of healing ourselves does feel dangerous, as it shows us the ugly parts of ourselves we tend to cover up with defense mechanisms. It is a brave thing to move through the difficult process of reflection and repairing. Our natural tendency when we have experienced pain is to recoil or lash out, an evolutionary mechanism of fight or flight. Although this protective mechanism is necessary in the origin of our trauma, it can cause real harm to us when engaged with repeatedly over time. This is why I asked Susan to give an exercise to help us reconnect with our bodies where we store unprocessed trauma. Even though I recognize the importance of reconnecting with my trauma and where it is stored in my body, it still feels overwhelming and daunting to acknowledge and really feel my own deepest pain. This might be true for you too. But in this work, we connect not only with our bodies, but with our truest selves. As Bessel van der Kolk teaches in the book, The Body Keeps the Score, that Susan mentioned and I recommend, when this work is unprocessed, we are constantly on high alert, our bodies bombarded with warning signs. In order to heal, we need to become aware of the physical sensations and the way that our bodies interact with the world around us. Physical self-awareness is the first step in releasing the tyranny of the past. Perhaps you, like me, feel your shoulders tense when triggered, or maybe, also like me, you are filled with a nervous energy, desperate to distract yourself from acknowledging imperfections. Feeling into these physical sensations offers us a pathway to healing. In this sense, our bodies are our teachers. One of the ways I've been working to heal my own brokenness is to learn to sit in the discomfort of awareness of my cracked places. I try to avoid engaging in negativity and use instead a loving curiosity when inspecting my imperfections. I'm also trying to be more aware of the signals my body is sending to me, such as the tenseness in my shoulders, as it can be the first signal that I'm feeling the need to protect myself. These are tools that you can also use. I do want to recognize that we can accidentally prod each other in areas still so deeply wounded, especially from repeated trauma, where the work of our own reparation is either not begun or is nascent. In these cases, we can react quite out of alignment with what someone said or did when they touched on our unresolved trauma. As an example, I was mugged years ago, where I was picked up from behind, had my little purse grabbed from my hands, and then thrown to the ground. For many months afterwards, I was in a constant state of high alert. If I was unexpectedly touched, I would react quite violently, regardless if it was a friend or a stranger. This was so because this mugging, traumatizing enough on its own, also connected with the deeper wound of my body feeling unsafe in a public space, having been touched inappropriately on a repeated basis by strange men while in public. So a traumatic experience is more than just a singular event. It can also echo other unprocessed traumatic events throughout our lives and speak to the negative ways our trauma affects our self-perception. I'd like to reassure you that I have moved past this trauma, so please don't feel awkward or concerned about our physical interaction. I value your affection. Like myself during that time, some of us are still existing in our brokenness and in a state of vigilance at all times. In these cases, we are disconnected from our bodies in an effort to protect ourselves so that it's hard to find the space to choose our reaction. I hope I am able to offer this understanding, this grace to others when this happens, knowing that they are only trying to defend themselves from further harm. To me, the deep work of acknowledging and seeking to mend our brokenness is indeed deeply spiritual and most self-loving work. Our trauma, our brokenness, can be made sacred through the act of healing, a holy grace that we as a beloved community can offer to each other. There is something to me so touching about all of us imperfect people working individually and collectively to be better, do better, and be more whole. Recognizing imperfection as a gift, we can offer each other grace in this struggle, as your struggle is also quite likely my own. We can be a sanctuary, helping to make each other feel loved right through our cracks and into our innermost and most imperfect selves. And, as in the careful mending of Bimbo's torn belly, this mending is a gift that we can give to others. When we see how we, in ourselves, our relationships, and our community are imperfect, we are given an opportunity to see how we, in joy, can mend what's broken. In our healing, we can create something new, something that better serves us, something that ultimately tells the story of who we are. In Paris, after the storming and demolition of the Bastille, the stones from the prison were used in the construction of a new bridge, the Place de la Concord. In crossing this bridge, one is made aware of how the city used its own broken pieces to create a special connection, not just across its banks, but across time, in thankful memory of those brave souls who brought it into being. There is so much work to be done, and we have the good fortune to be here now in the present moment for the struggle that awaits our hands and feet. It's good to know that what mending has been done before has been done by imperfect people, meaning that we, also imperfect, are actually just the perfect people to do this work. Whenever I experience something difficult or traumatizing, I ask myself, where is the gift? Because there's always a gift, and it's usually a gift that we can share with others. We can offer each other empathy in whatever wisdom we have gained from the experience of brokenness and mending. More than that, we can offer each other the knowledge that we are all valued, even in our brokenness, because God, or nature, made us broken for a reason. In the embroidering of torn vellum, a community used its shared skill and artistry to create beauty in the broken places, preserving what was important. And, like a vase that has been shattered and rejoined with gold, we are each all the more cherished for the shining places where healing has taken place. Thank you, and a heartfelt thanks to all that have helped me to bring this service to fruition. May it be so. Amen and Ashe. Huh. So you liked it? Okay. All right, okay, now. All right, now let's get serious here. Community plate. Thank you for your generous support of our last outreach offering to support New Hampshire Hunger Solutions. Today's community plate supports the nonprofit New Hampshire Capital Region Habitat for Humanity, which serves 17 towns in our area. Habitat helps low-income families purchase a safe and affordable home. Habitat renovates a property and then sells it to a qualified family at no profit. Habitat provides financing for the sale by offering an affordable mortgage at zero interest. Habitat's home repair program helps homeowners with essential repairs like roof replacement and accessibility improvements. Homeowners contribute by participating in the repair process alongside volunteers. Our monthly offering will now be gratefully received. May we be transformed by our gifts, our giving. May the world be transformed by our gifts. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 86 in our gray hymnals, Blessed Spirit of My Life.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let me sow serenity. Fill me with a vision. Clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me. Spirit of great mystery, hear the still small voice in me. Help me live my wordless creed as I comfort those in need. Fill me with compassion, be the source of my intuition. And when life is done for me, let love be my legacy.
Out into the world in peace, honor one another, listen with an open heart, stay curious, have courage, be kind, and live always the way of love. I now invite you to extinguish your chalice at home as Sue extinguishes our chalice here in the sanctuary. Thank you, Sue. Please join me in reading aloud the words on our screen. In this flame, let the light of the Spirit we share, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now please join me in singing our unison benediction. If you are comfortable joining hands or elbows, go ahead and reach out. And if not, reach out with your heart to all of us worshiping with you, knowing that you are not alone.